Good morning everybody. Welcome councillors, our Chief Executive Officer, General Managers, Executive Staff, those in the gallery here today and those that are watching us via live stream to this, the ordinary meeting of Council. We have no apologies for today, but first as a council and as a community we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet here today and the elders past, present and emerging. We also acknowledge those Australians who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country, as well as their family and their extended friends. The first piece of business is a confirmation of the minutes. So I now move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Council held on the 24th of November 2020 be taken as read and confirmed. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Before going through the rest of the meeting, we have to do the area in relation declarations of conflict of interest. So I now invite councillors to declare any conflict of interest in any items to be discussed at today's meeting. Councillor Trevor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest. The nature of the conflict of interest is, I rent a house at Woodgate, the house is from some people. The house is managed by Woodgate First National. The principal of the Woodgate First National is Patrick and Michelle Cocking, and they are also objectors to L1. So I declare the interest, and having stated this conflict, I'm going to leave the room and not vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Trevor. As Councillor Trevor has indicated that he'll leave the meeting while the item is discussed, there is no need to vote on the matter. I'm done. Councillor Honour.
Yes, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, wish to inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest. The nature of the conflict of interest is that my son, Dwayne Honour, in his professional role with Council, has authorised the attached report relating to item H1. And having stated this conflict, I believe I can participate and vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Honour. So also pursuant to Section 15 EQ of the Act, Council has been informed of a declaration of conflict of interest for Councillor Honour and has stated that he believes that he can participate and vote on the matter. The other councillors must now decide whether Councillor Honour may participate in the decision about the matter, including voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting and stay away while which the eligible councillors discuss and vote on the matter. So can I please have a show of hands of those councillors who determine that Councillor Honour may participate in the meeting involving voting on the matter? That's unanimous. So as it has been a unanimous decision, Council has determined that Councillor Honour may stay and attend and vote on the matter. Thank you, Councillor Honour. Next is Councillor McPhee.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in item E1. The nature of the conflict of interest is my business, Aloysius Delicious, holds a peppercorn lease over the refectory site at CQU out on University Drive. Having stated this conflict, I believe I can participate and vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Also, as pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Act, Council has been informed of the declarable conflict of interest, and Councillor McPhee has stated that she believes that she can participate and vote on the matter. The other councillors must now decide whether Councillor McPhee may participate in the decision about the matter, including voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting and stay away with the eligible councillors discuss the matter and vote on the matter. Can I please have a show of hands for those councillors who determine that Councillor McPhee may participate in the meeting, including voting on the matter? Thank you, everyone. It's a unanimous decision. As it's been a unanimous decision, Council has determined that Councillor McPhee is able to stay and vote on the matter identified. Next item is Councillor Haberman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in relation to item T1. The nature of the conflict is that I've been a long-term casual friend of the chairman of the subject organisation. Having stated this conflict, I believe I can participate and vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Haberman. So pursuant to Section 150 EQ of the Act, Council has been informed of a declarable conflict of interest, and Councillor Haberman has stated that he believes that he can participate and vote on the matter. The other councillors must now decide whether Councillor Haberman may participate in the decision about the matter, including voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting and stay away, which the other eligible councillors discuss the matter and vote on the matter. So can I please have a show of hands for those councillors who determine that Councillor Haberman may participate in the meeting, including voting on the matter? Those against? No. The matter is unanimous. As it is unanimous, Council has determined that Councillor Haberman is able to stay and vote on the matter. Thank you, Councillor Haberman. In relation to other conflicts, I know we have procedures where we have to, under the Act, write in and identify those conflicts many days beforehand and before the meeting, and we go through that process. But there is always things that, that may, councillors may come to a decision that they may have some form of conflict in relation to items here on the day. So I'll just give the opportunity. Is there any other councillors wish to declare any other matters in relation to the matters that we have before us today? So I'll just go, no, anyone? No? No, very good. All right. Thank you for your patience in that matter. The first item is item D1. It's from the Executive Services. It's a petition that's been received from patients of Grace Family Practice requesting a bus stop in the vicinity of the practice on Bargara Road, Bargara. So I now move that the petition be received and noted. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Mitchell. Does any other council wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item of business is item E1. It's in relation to, from the Strategic Projects and Economic Development section. E1 is the Bundaberg AgTech Hub Consortium with Central Queensland University. So I now move that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a consortium arrangement with Central Queensland University. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder is Councillor Bartel. The background, before going any further to this, is that the Bundaberg AgTech Hub is one of Council's 29 advocacy priorities in 2020, incorporates the Bargara Bundaberg AgTech Hub site and the broader regional AgTech initiative activities. Council and Central Queensland University are the founding partners of the Bundaberg AgTech Hub and propose to enter into a consortium arrangement to facilitate the development of a sustainable AgTech ecosystem in the Wide Bay Burnett region under the Bundaberg AgTech Hub. Any other queries or questions from councillors? No. I'll just put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item is item E2. It's a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Education, Queensland. So I now move that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Queensland Department of Education to progress the development of the Bundaberg Challenger Learning Centre. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. This is an exciting proposal for fellow councillors and the community. Council has previously completed a feasibility study on establishing a Challenger Learning Centre here in Bundaberg, and we certainly know the attachments to one of Bundaberg's favourite sons, Bert Hinkler, and the opportunities that will come with STEM and links to other areas. So this study identified that a Challenger Learning Centre, what its actual options exist for it to operate under and where it will be located in Bundaberg. However, subsequently, Council developed a business case and concept design which identified if a centre, if there was a centre, what it would cost to build and operate. So in consultation with the Regional Department of Education staff, Council officers have drafted an MOU between the Department of Education and Council to undertake the following. They are up on the list there if anyone wants to look at, but they are to participate in a project coordination group, investigate funding opportunities for the facility's construction and operation, investigate Department of Education staff working from the facility, investigate the incorporation of the Challenger program actually into the education program, ensuring it aligns with the Australian curriculum. It is an exciting project, not just for Bundaberg, but for Queensland as well, to have that affinity, the linkage between the Challengers Space Centre, NASA, Education Queensland, and Bundaberg Regional Council. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll just put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next four items are in the organisational services section. Item F1, I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, good morning, Mr Mayor, and to fellow councillors and to the gallery and to our staff, of course. I'd like to recommend that the financial summary as at the 1st of December 2020 be noted by the Council.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Barnes. Councillor Cooper, you speak further in relation to the motion.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. In accordance with Section 204 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, a financial report must be presented to the Council on a monthly basis. The attached financial report contains the financial summary and the associated commentary as at the 1st of December 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item F2. I call Councillor Cooper.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor. It is recommended that the Council, 1, rescind CP-3-002 Debt Policy version 5 and 2, adopt CP-3-002 Debt Policy version 6.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? A seconder is Councillor Honour. Any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item G1. It's Delegations Register Review. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, Mr Mayor, recommendation that pursuant to Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009, the Register of Delegation Council to the Chief Executive Officer be varied to reflect the new and changed powers as outlined in the report and tabled as appended to the report.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Trevor. Councillor Cooper, you speak further.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. In accordance with Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009, in brackets the Act, Council may by resolution delegate powers under the Act or another Act to the Mayor or the Chief Executive Officer. Section 257 in brackets 5 of the Act requires Council to review all delegations to the Chief Executive Officer at least annually. The Local Government Association of Queensland Delegation Register service is updated by King and Company solicitors during the two major Queensland parliamentary recesses, summer and winter, when they can be confident that there will be no changes to the Act.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item G2. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, Mr Mayor, the recommendation is that 1, Council apply the exception contained in section 236 in brackets 1 in brackets A in brackets I of the Local Government Regulation 2012 in brackets Queensland to the disposal of lots 13 and 35 and 36 on SP 205671, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a contract of sale for each of the lots 13, 35 and 36 on SP 205671 and attend to all items required to finalise the sale of the properties.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. Councillor Cooper, you speak further in relation to the motion.
The background of the matter is the council is the freehold owner of those lots 13, 35 and 36 on SP 205671 at Kinkuna Waters Estate, Woodgate. Council has previously resolved to sell those lots as they were surplus to council's needs. The lots were previously offered for sale by auction at which the auction was not successful, then the lots were passed in. Council has received offers to purchase the lots from separate individual buyers. The offers to purchase the lots presented by the buyers to council are for market value.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item of business from the infrastructure area, it's item H1. I call Councillor Trevor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that Council enter into an arrangement with MetroCount for subscription to Atlas software without first inviting written quotes pursuant to section 235B of the Local Government Regulation 2012. And B, this arrangement be made for an initial period from January 2021 to December 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. Councillor Trevor, you speak further in relation to the matter?
I will, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
The background of this is that MetroCount is an Australian company based in Western Australia. Council utilises MetroCount traffic counters and classifiers to collate all traffic survey data. Recently, MetroCount have developed an innovative tool called Atlas. Atlas allows for the following functionality. 1. Visualise data from multiple traffic monitoring sites on a map. 2. Automated data validation and report generation. 3. Timely export of data from every survey site into GS formats. 4. Easy download of spreadsheet and PDF data reports. 5. Securely archives historical traffic data files. And 6. Easily shares and receives traffic data from neighbouring councils and government organisations. Atlas is powered by and complements MetroCount's MTE software, which Council already possesses for our traffic count program. However, currently all data collected has to be entered manually into a spreadsheet after reports are generated via the MTE software. The numerous MT data reports required are currently exported manually and individually. Atlas will provide a large saving in time for the file management and administration of our traffic count data. It will also provide our GIS department with a more efficient way of sourcing and accessing data to utilise in our GIS system, as well as providing automated custom reports required for Grants Commission reporting. It will also allow data to be safe from unauthorised or mistaken editing as entity and export processes are automated. Council's Road Corridor Management System team have been trialling Atlas free of charge for 5 months with very successful results.
Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the matter? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next items are from the Development Assessment section. Councillor Trevor, I believe you're leaving for the first one?
I am for L1. Yes.
Yeah, L1. Thanks, Councillor Trevor. Councillor Trevor has now vacated the meeting. The items in relation to L1 is in relation to material change of use for the tourism park extension, and that's L1, and it's 86, 87 and 88, the Esplanade Woodgate. I now move the recommendation that the development application 522.2020.211.1 as detailed in today's agenda be approved in full with conditions as set out in Schedule 1. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honour. Before going any further, I'll just ask if there's any comments in relation to this matter from the CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a very brief summary. The proposal involves the expansion of the existing NRMA Woodgate Beach Tourist Park in the additional area which was reconfigured recently. The proposal involves 19 additional caravan sites, 2 freestanding en-suites and an internal roadway. The en-suite structures are proposed 3 metres from the eastern property boundary. The proposal also includes a mini golf course in the north-western corner of the site fronting Acacia Street and 4 existing barbecue shelters throughout the site. The applicant has provided a 3 metre wide landscape buffer along the southern and western property boundary, which has interface with low density residential zone land with adjacent dwelling houses sited, and the applicant has proposed that access to the site will be via the main entrance on the Esplanade. The applicant has also proposed that access via Pine Court will be for emergency vehicles and maintenance vehicles only. However, it's noted that the application was not lodged over the access retention strip at the end of Pine Court, and that is conditioned to remain. 26 submissions were received during the public notification stage, and 22 of those submissions were considered properly made under Section 53(4) of the Planning Act 2018. All submissions received raised objections to the proposed development. The development is proposed to be approved in full with the conditions as outlined in the report.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Does any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. I'll just get Councillor Trevor, Deputy Mayor, back in. Thanks, Bill. So the next item is item L2. It's in relation to 67 Harbour Esplanade Burnett Heads, and it's a preliminary approval for a material change of usage. I'll go straight to the item and I'll go to the recommendation. I now move that the development application 522.2018.90.1 as detailed in today's agenda be approved in full with conditions as set out in Schedule 1. Can I have a seconder, please? A seconder is Councillor McLaughlin. Before going any further, I'll just ask any comments in relation to this item from the CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The submitted application seeks a preliminary approval for a material change of use for a resort complex, including an ancillary shop, restaurant, bar, recreation and conference facilities, short-term accommodation and multiple dwellings, as well as a variation request to vary the effect of the planning scheme for development under the preliminary approval. The application includes a variation request to vary the effect of the planning scheme to secure approval for the overall development concept for Stage 2 and guide the assessment and level of assessment of subsequent applications for development permits lodged over the site. The Burnett Harbour Marine Village development is proposed to be delivered under the umbrella of 2 separate town planning approvals. Stage 1 of the Burnett Heads Marina Village has previously been approved by Council at its last meeting on the 24th of November, and the proposal for Stage 2 can be summarised as follows. The preliminary approval includes a series of residential buildings which are distributed along the waterfront to the east of the village, a 10-level resort complex with associated 2,205 square metres of 3-level conference facility, recreation, restaurant and retail facilities. The resort complex is located centrally on the small peninsula on a north-south axis running from the Harbour Esplanade to the marina. The public promenade continues along the harbour edge in front of all buildings, providing access to the wider community. And vehicular access to the site is provided through a formal landscaped entry boulevard which distributes vehicles to residential and resort buildings from a central roundabout. A total of 43 properly made submissions and 3 not properly made submissions were received over both periods combined. Of these properly made submissions, 34 were against the proposed development and 9 submissions were in support of the development. And councillors will be aware that there's been several emails received in the last few days, both for and against the development, which we forwarded to councillors for their consideration. The proposal is recommended to be approved in full with conditions, and these conditions are set out in Schedule 1. In particular, I would draw councillors' attention to Condition 12, which limits all building heights within the proposed complex to 6 storeys. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Does any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? Councillor McLaughlin.
No.
No. Do you want to speak in relation to the motion? I'm just giving Councillor McLaughlin the opportunity. Is and if any other councillors wish to speak as well, please, come
Mr. Mayor,
forward.
can I just clarify all I've done is outline the proposal?
That's
I
right.
can't speak for or against the motion
Yeah.
because I don't have a vote.
Thanks. I know that's Mr CEO, and I'm sure the councillor, after many decades in council, understands that also, and his type of questioning. I'll go straight to Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I wanted to make some comments about the material change of use of Stage 2 of the Burnet Heads Marina development, not only as a divisional councillor for the area, but also due to my knowledge of the site from being an active member of the local Burnet Heads community groups for the last 15 years. Firstly, I wish to state clearly that the parcel of land that this development is on has been extensively discussed as a future site to become a resort and is consistent with what has been identified in Council's previous planning documents and what has been openly discussed with the community for many years. For example, the Bundaberg Regional Council Planning Scheme 2015 states that the development of the Burnet Heads Boat Harbour and adjacent foreshore would provide an integrated resort development that caters for tourism and could include function and entertainment facilities, hotel, retail, residential and marina-related businesses. Another example is the Burnet Heads Local Area Plan 2017, which makes a recommendation to change the site zoning to identify the marina site as a key development for the Burnet Heads community. Both the planning scheme and the Burnet Heads Local Area Plan 2017 included public consultation sessions at Burnet Heads, which were well attended, and council officers were open about possible future site. On top of these sessions, there were further consultation sessions to do with the Burnet Heads Town Centre project, where this site was raised and discussed by community members. It's also been discussed for many years at various Burnet Heads Progress and Sports Association and the Burnet Heads Business Network meetings. Council officers were always open with the community that the infrastructure upgrades to the nearby Burnet Heads Town Centre and Stage 1 of this project could naturally lead to the future development of this site. They were open about it being a strategic location that could be looked at in the future. While there is always a diversity of opinions, generally speaking, most residents have accepted the development at this site and would occur at some point. What they want is a development that aligns with the community's character while providing for its future. Developing the site into a resort complex that naturally flows on from the neighbouring marina village and connects to the nearby town centre fits with the character of the area. The resort can be a real draw card to the marina and boost the nearby businesses in the town centre. The connectivity to the town centre via footpaths that go through the site to the water's edge enables the site to link into and complement the town centre. It is also pleasing to see that the continuation of the public foreshore footpath from Stage 1 of the project into Stage 2 and inclusion of public beach. This retains community use for part of the harbour's foreshore. I also welcome the inclusion of a range of measures to minimise the lighting impact on our local total population and other marine life, This is an example of an environmentally appropriate development and aligns with local community expectations. The only aspect that really concerns me is the 10-storey building, as this is something that hasn't really taken to the community and needs further consultation. The aspect of the application that are up to 6 storeys fits with the neighbouring building height in stage 1 of the marina and also the Burnett Heads Town Centre. It does not change what the community expectation is expecting to occur along the Boat Harbour precinct. The 10-storey building doesn't have the same history of public consultation, and the community hasn't had the opportunity to properly voice its opinion. It also does not fit with the zoning of neighbouring areas. Now, some of this is the fault of COVID-19 pandemic, which saw the consultation period occur when there were restrictions on public gatherings, which meant the public couldn't occur to discuss the proposal, and the developer had no opportunity to meet with local community. For the reasons I've outlined, I support preliminary approval of up to 6 storeys as it's entirely consistent with the strategic plan for the site, is generally supported by the community as shown through previous consultation, and is consistent with neighbouring area, including stage 1 of this project and the Burnett Heads Town Centre. I also support ensuring that the 10-storey aspect remains impact accessible, as that will enable the community to have its say and for council to consider the community's feedback when assessing the aspect of this plan.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. Councillor Barnes, you wish to comment in relation to the matter? Yep. Thanks, Councillor Barnes.
Thanks, Councillor McLaughlin. Good morning, councillors. Councillor McLaughlin, I agree with basically everything you've said. I guess that there's nobody in this room that would actually go against the proposal of a marina at Burnett Heads as stage 1. I think it's a given. I think that the community want it and that we should support it. I'm, however, concerned about some of the aspects that relate to condition 12 in relation to building heights. The report indicates that a zoning that is close aligned to the envisioned high-density mixed use of the land is a high-density residential zone. Within this zone, the maximum height anticipated in similar coastal areas is 5-storey. Then goes on to talk about the Esplanade Jewel matter. The related performance outcome in this zone states that development has a medium-rise build form that is compatible with the existing and intended scale and character of the surrounding area. 6 stories is fine, don't have an issue with that. Further, it says building heights nominated in map 6 for the marina development site are indicative and are illustrative of the preferred layout and development orientation. I've had to look through that and I can't find any ground level elevation concept drawings that indicate 10-storey buildings within it. It all relates to only the heights of stage 1, and I can understand why. Just further refer to the report. Further, after the Minister called into the Bagara matter, the State directed temporary local planning instrument 1/2009, Bagara building height and sea turtle sensitive area also came into effect since the adoption of the Burnett Heads local plan. The applicant was requested within Council's information request to provide further grounds for the proposed height over and above the envisioned for other coastal areas. Specifically, officers requested 1, further plan information to better demonstrate the overall height envisaged in the preliminary approval master plan to assist in establishing sufficient planning grounds to support any non-compliance within the planning scheme. Additional view perspectives taken from other prominent locations would be beneficial to clarify the impact of the development on the surrounding locality. These perspectives, possibly in the form of visual impact assessment, would assist both council and the community to visualise what the development will look like when viewed from other prominent locations. It is requested that additional indicative elevations and perspective views be provided. The applicant did not prepare and submit the requested information. Rather, they provided justification for the proposed 10 stories from a total management perspective. Within their response, the applicant states the additional justification sought by council is found in map 6 alternative building heights and setbacks of the Burnett Heads Town Centre local plan. I can't find anything, and I don't know if anyone else can, that shows an actual elevation of what 10 stories would look like. It also refers repeatedly to the beachside character of the local area, and I think that that councillors will understand that the sleepy village-type atmosphere of Burnet Heads is something that's special to them, and yet they do want something of the magnitude of what's being proposed in stage 1. Given officers do not have detailed design plans, I'm quoting again from the report, demonstrating the above, it is recommended that height plans above 6 stories be subject to impact assessment and the entire planning scheme be an applicable assessment benchmark, including the strategic framework. Furthermore, it will enable the community to have their input on their views on detailed design and circumstances. Any application over this height is publicly advertised. In this regard, officers recommend that a variation to the planning scheme differing to what the applicant requested be conditioned. The submitted height master plan will also be approved as amended by council with a condition confirming a maximum height of 6 stories. Great, I fully support that, and I understand that's reflected in condition 12. It doesn't, however, take away from the fact that we're also looking at a preliminary approval. The planning scheme requires applicants to consider this feature, and in more recent planning scheme amendments has introduced the sea turtle sensitive area overlay code. Given this code came into effect prior to the subject application entering the decision stage, full weight can be given to this code. Prior to this overlay coming into effect, the subject site was still mapped as being within the sea turtle sensitive area with requirements under the nuisance code. It then goes on with a plethora of other information that relates to that. It also refers that the conditions imposed on the proposal will comply with all acceptable outcomes of the code other than acceptable outcome 5, which relates to the screening of the development located on land visible to the beach. Direct light onto the beach is the number 1 risk to the turtle population. We've got sky, a glow, but direct light onto it is the most intense. And other than AO5, so it doesn't comply with that. It would not be possible for landscaping to screen the development to Oaks Beach and Monrepo Beach to the south, given that some of the buildings are 10 stories in height. When the subject application was lodged, sea turtle requirements were located within the nuisance code. The relevant performance outcome under this planning scheme, preferred outcome 8, requires that partly limit impacts from artificial lighting on sea turtle nesting areas. It is considered that when giving weight to both assessment benchmarks and the recommendations and findings of the turtle management plan, that the intent of both codes has been met, and a proposal can be conditioned to comply with both codes. Mr. Mayor, it's my belief that the vast majority of Burnet Head residents, and indeed residents from across the region, will welcome this development as it is proposed in accordance with the Council's planning scheme, which in itself was adopted following extensive community consultation. I also believe that this development may well become a catalyst for changes within the local township, but those changes and the way we vote today should not be at the detriment to the ancient mariners that visit our shores every year. Those who sit around this table today play an essential role in protecting the various species of sea turtles which choose our shores to lay their eggs to ensure their survival. The changes that we should focus on should protect the village atmosphere of the township as it exists, whilst welcoming the investment of a modern world-class marina complex at the mouth of the safest port on Queensland's coast. Over upcoming years, the area is likely to see some change in its population, and with it, the possibility of a shift in its residents' outlook and opinions, and what matters to them and how they wish their township to progress. As such, it should not be our role to make decisions which either directly or indirectly binds future residents or elected members to bow to the decisions of their predecessors. That's not our role. In my opinion, a preliminary approval should only be issued for potential developments which are proposed within the lifespan of an existing planning scheme, not second-guessing what might happen in the future. They should not be handed out as an indefinite tool which could unreasonably direct planning policy into the future and place unreasonable pressure on our successors. Indeed, to engage in such a tactic could set a precedence for future non-compliance applications submitted to council. And summing up, to provide or even refer to any preemptive preliminary approval without knowing what may be contained in a future planning scheme is, in my opinion, unwarranted. Let's support the application before us as it relates to stage 1, and which the current community is eager to embrace. And let future stages be assessed by those who are elected to do so. Councillors, I'd like to move an amendment.
Yeah, just amendment, yeah.
Amendment. Councillors, I move amendment.
Before you do the amendment, Councillor Barnes, are you happy to table the notes that you have here today?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's all right. Is Wendy or someone the notes, please? Wendy?
I might need to refer them. Councillors,
Hold on, I'll finish that first. Yeah. Do you need to refer to them?
well, I don't know, but it depends on if I have to close.
Well, no, that's all
debate
right.
on
I'm just
amendment.
giving you an opportunity. That's all good. So, Councillor Barnes, please go ahead with the amendment. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, I move amendment to condition 12 of the report, and that it be dealt with in two parts, A and B. 12A, the maximum height of any building or structure associated with stage 1 must not exceed 6 stories above natural ground level, as shown on the amended approval plan 4.9 building height diagram dated 1/12/20. B, the maximum height for any subsequent stage will be assessed by the council on the day against a planning scheme as may be adopted from time to time by the council and in consultation with the community of the day. As such, this approval does not constitute a preliminary approval for any subsequent stage of the development. And just speaking to that, I think that...
Yeah, hold on. Just what we have to do, because it's an actual amendment, I just want to just to clarify if it's substantially moved out of the context of the original amendment. So I'll just clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think looking at section 8.4.1 of the standing orders for council meeting policy, and I'll read it out. An amendment to a motion will be in terms which maintain or further clarifies the intent of the original motion and does not contradict the motion. My summation of the way in which you've just worded that amendment is that it's contrary to that and can't be accepted as an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. As it has been identified as a substantial change from the original motion, the motion is not accepted, Councillor Barnes.
Mr. Mayor, with respect, I'd ask you to reconsider the motion.
Councillor Barnes, there is no debate on that matter. It's not accepted because it's substantially outside of the actual motion, Councillor Barnes.
With respect, Mr. Mayor, I don't agree.
Oh, everyone's entitled to that, Councillor Barnes. It really is. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, anything else, Thomas?
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that if Councillor Barnes wants to pursue that motion, he should pursue it as an alternate motion.
Yeah.
Because clearly it's not an amendment. But the original motion would then need to be put, and then Councillor Barnes, if the original motion was lost, Councillor Barnes could move that as an alternate motion. I'm also concerned about the wording of the second part of that motion. I'm not sure that it's actually lawful to the way in which it was worded, that I'd need to look at that in more detail.
Can I ask what part of it?
The bit where you're trying to bind a council to a future planning scheme, which is completely unknown. So I think if I draw on the words out of the policy again, the motion is vague and potentially proposes an unlawful action.
So, Councillor Barnes, as that has been identified as substantial change, and you're a very long-standing councillor, I know you know the procedures and policies, the amendment is obviously ruled out of order. The CEO has identified that there is a possibility of an alternative motion after the original motion, if the original motion fails in its part. Okay, Councillor Barnes, you understand that?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'll move a motion of dissent against the Chair's assessment.
Yeah.
It's a procedural motion.
Procedural motion. I'll just get some advice on that one first before we go.
Mr. Mayor, I'll just explain.
No, Councillor Barnes, you know exactly what you're doing and you understand it. And,
I know what I'm doing.
And you've prepared well today, and I must compliment you on that. And, but we'll just go through with what normal procedures are, and that you're certainly entitled to, you've done the amendment, I've outlined the alternative. Is a what is that you're moving now exactly?
Motion
A
of
dissent.
dissent.
A motion of dissent.
So under 8.9.6, the councillor may move a motion of dissent in relation to a ruling of the chair on a point of order.
Yeah.
Where such motion is moved, further consideration of any matter will be suspended until after a ruling is made.
That's all right.
I just need to check with Chris whether the motion of dissent needs to go to a vote or whether the mayor can rule on it as the chair.
Has to go straight to the vote, Steve.
Thank you, councillor Barnes. I'll
Well,
check with councillor
check the
Smith.
lead. I know you know it well, councillor Barnes.
It's not a substantial diversion.
Okay, so the motion of dissent needs to go to a vote, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor
Second.
Barnes. Don't need a seconder. Okay, so councillor Barnes has put forward a motion of dissent in the chair. So those for?
Okay, sorry, can I just clarify? The motion to dissent is a motion to dissent against your ruling
Yep.
that the amendment as proposed was not an amendment.
Are you happy to clarify that, Mr. Councillor
Yes.
Barnes?
The motion of dissent is against your ruling that it's not an amendment due to the fact that it's a substantial deviation from the original motion. What I'm saying is I don't believe it is a substantial deviation from the motion.
Yeah, we're not here. So it's just the exact wording that was, because that's different to the original. But yeah, is that what you're moving? Yeah. So those in favour? Those against?
I don't understand.
So I'll just do
Sorry, councillor McPhee has got
a
question.
query in
Sorry,
relation to it.
Sorry, I'm not voting because I don't entirely understand what's going on, and I don't want to participate in a vote for something that I don't really understand what's happening.
That's all
Sorry.
right. I'll just probably a bit of advice on that.
Okay, for councillor
We're not
McPhee's
voting, it
information,
votes, yeah.
Councillor Barnes has proposed an amendment to the motion that has already been moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Under council standing orders for council meeting policy, the mayor has ruled, as the chairperson of the meeting, which he's entitled to, that it is not an amendment when you look at the wording of the standing meeting orders policy. It deviates entirely from the original motion. Councillor Barnes has then moved a motion of dissent, a procedural motion, against the mayor's ruling that the amendment can't be accepted. So Councillor Barnes has moved a motion of dissent. A motion of dissent then needs to be voted on by the councillors. So what you're voting on now is just the motion of dissent moved by Councillor Barnes against the mayor's ruling that the amendment can't be considered. Is that clear?
Yep, I understand all of that.
Yep.
What I don't understand is I'm not very clear on whether, what my view is on whether it is actually far removed from the original motion, because that went through that very quickly, and can we...
So Councillor McPhee, is the advice that in making my determination, I've sought advice from the CEO. The CEO has then sought advice from the legal side of council as well. So that's in making that decision as well.
Okay.
It's
Just for clarity, Mr Mayor, if I can read out the standing orders for council meetings policy.
Thanks.
Because I've got them here in front of me.
Yeah, so it's policy number CP-3-
Oh, no, I've got the policy.
016.
What number is it?
8.4, amendment to amendment.
Thank you.
I'll read it out in full. An amendment to a motion will be in terms which maintain or further clarify the intent of the original motion and do not contradict the motion.
Thank you.
got enough?
Thank you. And
Councillor
I
McPhee?
just appreciate everyone's time and patience with that.
Yeah, I know. It's an official council meeting, so the expectations is certainly that people, have that information. I know the learned council is certainly au fait with that as well. So I'll now put to those in favour of Councillor Barnes's motion. Motion of dissent is Councillor Barnes. Those against? Yep, the matter is affirmed in the negative.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
So, Councillor Barnes, before going forward, I just want to check if I'll grab your seat. Anything else there on that? That's been dealt with, yeah. So, Councillor Barnes, yep.
Yeah, so accordingly, I advise that should the recommendation before council be accepted, that should the matter before council be lost, I'll be moving an alternative recommendation. And that recommendation will include my amendments to paragraphs 12A and B,
Yep.
as mentioned before.
Thanks, Councillor Barnes. That's good. So we go back to the original motion. The original recommendation was, and I had the seconder. Seconder was Councillor McLaughlin. We've spoken in relation to the matter and the details. I thank the councils for the contributions there in relation to the item before us today. And now the matter will go to the actual, sorry? Yeah, any other speakers? Yeah, that's in relation to this particular motion. Oh, Councillor John Learmont, yeah.
Mr Mayor, I really think this is great development, and I go back to 1980 something. I bought a boat thinking there's nothing marine built then. The only issue I do have is, and like I said, I support the marina 100%, but it's just the extension of time that the applicants put in for the 12 years for currency and an additional 15 years. That's my only thoughts. That, and I see dragging out too long. That's all.
Yeah. No, do you want to address the technicality? Is there a question at all out of that, John?
No,
Yeah. Yep, we'll do. Any other councillors wish to speak in relation to the matter? No. So we'll just go straight to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Is Councillor Honour, Councillor Barnes and Councillor Mitchell. Thank you. The matter is affirmed in the positive. As the Councillor Barnes, you understand that as the matter has been affirmed in the positive, the alternative lapses. I'll just say I know that the newer councils understand that as well, because that is a matter of procedures that after a while and councils know how to do that. Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm aware of that.
That's
I appreciate your advice.
No, just to assist the new councillors. So now we go to the Community and Cultural Services section. The next items are 3 from the Community and Cultural Services section. Item 01, I call Councillor McPhee.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to move that Council apply the exception contained in section 2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 10-year lease with the Lions Club of Bargara Incorporated for part of the land at lot 218 on SP 170700.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Haberman. Councillor McPhee, wish to speak further in relation to this motion that has been going on for a number of years.
Yes, it's good to see that they've finally found a home. So just a bit of background, this is in relation to 14 School Lane, Windermere, known as the Old Barolan State School on lot 218. The state-owned reserve for recreation, which Council is the trustee of. So Lion Clubs of Bargara wish to lease part of this property for a storage shed. The terms of the lease will be for 10 years and the rent will be at the normal community rate of $55. The Bargara Lions Club will be responsible for all the associated costs of the lease and 100% of the outgoings. And Council proposes to apply the exception to the tender auction requirements contained in section 2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation, given that we are disposing it to a community organisation.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Any other councillors wish to speak or query the matter? No? All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item of business is item 02. I call Councillor McPhee.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council apply the exception contained in section 2361C3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and also that the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 5-year lease with the Community Lifestyle Support Limited, ACN 615836630, for part of the land at lot 218 on SP 170700.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder, Councillor Cooper. Councillor McPhee, speak further in relation to the matter.
Thank you. So this item is relating to the 14 School Lane again, the same block as our previous item. Community Lifestyle Services have a current lease over the land and are agreeable to surrendering their lease to allow the Lions Club to lease part of their unused area. A new lease for CLS will be entered into for 5 years and rent will be at market value with all other terms as per council's standard lease terms.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the matter? No? All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item 03. I call Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The recommendation is that 1, council apply the exception contained in section 236 in brackets 1 in bracket C in brackets 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a consecutive 10-year lease with Telstra Corporation Limited, ABN 3305775556 for part of the land at Lot 4 on SP 298190.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. Councillor Cooper, you speak further in relation to the motion.
Yes, Mr Mayor. The background is council is the freehold owner of a lot 4 on SP 298190 at Lot 4, Buxton Road, Isis River. The property is currently listed on the council's website for sale. Australian Telecommunication Corporation has the lease over the portion of the property. Australia Telecommunication became Telstra Limited in 1993. The lease has expired and is now operating under a holding over provision. The Telstra Corporation Limited wishes to enter into a consecutive lease for the term of 10 years each. Rent will be at market value. Council proposes to apply the exception to the tender-auction requirement contained in section 236 in brackets 1 in brackets C in bracket 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland, given that the disposal of is for the purpose of renewing a lease of the land to the existing tenant of the land.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No? All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item of business is item S1, and I call Councillor Barnes.
Yeah, sorry, Mr Mayor, and I apologise to councillors for the late notice.
Yeah.
But it's just come to mind. It's that far removed. I didn't even come to mind. Pursuant to section 150EL for the Local Government 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I may have a prescribed conflict of interest in the matter. The name of the entity that has an interest in the matter is Qantas. The nature of my relationship with that entity is that approximately 10 years ago, Qantas celebrated a milestone in its relationship with Bundaberg, and as such gave all councillors a complimentary return airfare to Brisbane, and that was then declared in my register of interest as a hospitality benefit. I believe that it's that far removed and was applicable to all councillors at the time that it entitles me to remain in the meeting and to vote on it.
For the vote, but then I may as well do the next one. I'll actually do the report. Yeah. So we'll just go deal with the conflict first. Is pursuant to section 150 EQ of the Act, Council has been informed of a declarable conflict of interest, and Councillor Barnes has stated that he believes he can participate and vote on the matter. The other councillors must decide whether Councillor Barnes may participate in a decision about the matter, including voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting and stay away, which the eligible councillors discuss and vote on the matter. Can I have a please show of hands to those councillors determine that Councillor Barnes may participate in the meeting, including voting on the matter? That's it. So as it is, they've been identified unanimously in relation to the item. Council has determined that Councillor Barnes is able to stay and vote on the matter. Councillor Barnes, and I'm happy if you're happy. He's probably.
I'm always happy, Mr Mayor.
You know, he's your guy. is the matter before, it's in your particular area of...
What? Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I thought I turned it off.
That's all right.
It's a good
Thanks,
song, no?
Councillor Barnes. If you're happy with it, do you want me to speak in relation to the matter?
Sorry,
Matter?
which matter is this?
The matter, the next matter, it's from your particular
In
portfolio.
relation to,
Portfolio, yeah, item S1. Are you happy to still go ahead?
yes,
And talk on
yeah,
it?
yeah, absolutely, yep.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, sorry, Councillor Barnes, yeah.
Clarify how Councillor Barnes declared that conflict, given I don't have the sheet in front of me. You used the words declarable. Can I just clarify what Councillor Barnes said?
Yeah. Is it prescribed or declarable?
I think it's prescribed.
So
Big-
Councillor Barnes has used the word prescribed.
I'll take advice from you, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, just come through the chair, Mr. Barnes, you know that.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I didn't want to make you feel left out.
No, it's all right.
Councillor Barnes, is the gift still listed on your register?
It's registered on my register as a hospitality benefit, yeah.
Does it have a value attached to it? You know,
I don't believe so.
it's not since prescribed, that's it.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, it's under 2,000.
So the matter is how it wasn't in this present council or anything, it was a few councils ago.
I think it was the first council after amalgamation.
Yeah, I'll just get to the because normally you have to on amounts and so forth, as you know yourself say.
I can clarify, Mr. Mayor.
No, it's good.
I
Just
think
trying to help.
Just for record-keeping purposes, I think Councillor Barnes needs to just have it as a declarable conflict, because that's what you put to the vote.
Yep.
And according to council's in-house solicitor, that is the correct terminology.
Yep. So you understand that, Councillor Barnes?
So you want to re-put it as a
No,
declarable?
you're already...
Yeah, yes, we can read.
Oh, because you put it as a...
Prescribed.
As a
Prescribed, yeah.
prescribed.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so you'll have to, yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Mayor,
We have to do an amount on that then?
No.
Because it was before the legislation.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The problem
So-
we have is that the legislation clearly has changed to something when you accept the gift.
Yeah. No, because it's a new change in legislation, I wasn't quite sure. So, Mr. Mayor, with leave of council, I seek to withdraw my previous declaration
Remove that other
and now
declaration.
declare that pursuant to section 150EQ of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I may have a declarable conflict of interest.
He's gonna
The nature of the conflict of
What about
interest
the one we've already
is
Let it go.
the name of the related party is Qantas. The nature of the relationship is that some 10 years ago, to mark a milestone of Qantas's relationship with the city of Bundaberg, all councillors were given a return airfare to Bundaberg, and that sponsored hospitality was immediately recorded on my register of interest. Given that, I believe that it is so far removed and so old, and it was applied and applicable to all councillors at the time, that I can stay in the meeting and vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. I just want to make sure, is there anything else in relation to the new legislation as declaring an amount or anything else like that? There's nothing?
No.
So we just go, so I'll just go straight through 15EQ again, just to because we got that legal advice and I want to just make sure it's fine. So pursuant to section 150EQ of the Act, Council has been informed of a declarable conflict of interest, and Councillor Barnes has stated that he believes he can participate and vote on the matter. The other councillors must decide whether Councillor Barnes may participate in a discussion about the matter, including voting on the matter, or must leave the meeting and stay away, which the other eligible councillors discuss and vote on the matter. Can I please have a show of hands for those councillors who determine that Councillor Barnes may participate in a meeting, including voting on the matter? So those against? No. So as council has determined that Councillor Barnes is able to stay and vote on the matter. I thank everyone for the patience, but we all know the technicalities with these things.
What I'd just like to declare is I never took up on that offer that was made to councillors at the time, so I wasn't even aware that Councillor Barnes did. So I was a councillor at that time, but I never took any flights.
Thanks, Councillor Honour. The matter's already been voted on, but yeah, okay. So we'll now go to, if you're happy to do that, Councillor Barnes, to the next item. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to do it for you if you feel uncomfortable about it.
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm certainly comfortable.
There we go.
Councillors, I refer to item S1 of the business notes and provide the following background. The Queensland Government has established the $5 million domestic aviation route restart program. The project is a one-off support package responding to the need to stimulate the domestic travel market and a return...
Sorry, Greg, what's the recommendation first?
Oh, sorry, the recommendation, all right.
Thanks, Councillor Fee.
That Council authorises the CEO to enter into an arrangement with Qantas Airways Limited for the provision of services eligible for funding by the Domestic Aviation Route Restart Program without seeking competitive quotations or tenders pursuant to Section 235 of Local Government Regulation 2012.
And now we need a seconder. Is seconded Councillor Bartels. Now, Councillor Barnes, go for your life.
That's what you have for being eager, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
As I said, so the domestic...
We have meetings every week, Greg. Come along.
I'm dedicated, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
So the Domestic Aviation Route Restart Program has been implemented. The key principle of the program is to stimulate aviation demand by allowing airports to negotiate directly with airlines to increase service frequency or capacity, and by funding marketing activities in partnership with Tourism and Events Queensland, regional tourism organisations linked to the TEQ, Tourism Events Queensland, good to go messaging. The program does not require a financial contribution by council, and it should be noted that council is the owner-operator of the Bundaberg Airport. The program is administered through the Department of State Development, Tourism and Innovation by TEQ, which has notified each Queensland airport how much funding from the program has been allocated to the airport. The program's funding agreement was signed for council and the funds have been received. And I guess it's pertinent here to thank the state government for that funding. Council has received proposals from Qantas to use the funding to support increased capacity on the Bundaberg to Brisbane return routes and to participate in a marketing promotion in the Qantas magazine to target its high-tier frequency flyers who are known to respond to this kind of promotion. A proposal from Bundaberg Tourism did not meet eligibility criteria for funding by the program. Due to the ongoing ramifications of the pandemic and after Qantas's resumption of services to Bundaberg, Alliance Airlines suspended its operations and terminated its ground handling arrangements at Bundaberg. Consequently, there is currently only one airline with whom to negotiate for increased frequency and capacity. Mr. Mayor, I move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So move. The next item of business is item S2. I call Councillor McPhee.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to move that Council provide financial support in the amount of $10,000 plus GST where applicable, pursuant to Council's Partnership Grants Program to the YMCA Bundaberg Limited, ABN 14652841361.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee. Comes second is Councillor Haberman. Councillor McPhee, speak further in relation to the matter.
Thank you. So an application pursuant to the Partnerships and Sponsorship Grant Program has been received by the YMCA of Bundaberg, seeking continual assistance of $10,000 for the delivery of the toy library program in the 2021 financial year. So the money is going to be used to support, promote and host community events, engage the local community and purchase new resources. And I'd just like to mention that the organisation was established back in 1986 when I was at primary school by local parents to provide access to specialised equipment and developmentally appropriate toys for children with special needs. And since that time, the library has grown its resources to more than 3,000. The centre is a valued resource for the community, as it's the only service in the region offering specialised equipment for people with disabilities and cost-effective play opportunities for families.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee. Any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the matter? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item is confidential in nature and pursuant to section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. The item is T1. So I now move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to section 254J of the Local Government Regulations 2012 to discuss the confidential items. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder is Councillor Cooper. All those in favour? Those against? So move. I'll now ask those in the gallery to please leave the meeting room. I'll invite you back in a short period of time. We'll now have to suspend the live streaming to discuss the confidential item, and we'll be back shortly. Bloody hell. So we're now back live, and we're just waiting for the gallery to return. Thank you. No one else? Return? No. So the next item of business is item T1. It's a request to write off sewage and waste charges. So I now move that Council provides no further relief to the part lease of land described at Lot 131 on CK 1374. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Bartels. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Haberman. The matter is so moved. Thank you, councillors. This brings to conclusion the business of today's meeting. The next ordinary meeting is due to be held on the 24th of January 2021 in Council Chambers here in Bundaberg. I certainly bid you all a safe and very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. I look forward to seeing you all back here at the Council Chambers fit and well in 2021. On behalf of the whole of the Bundaberg Regional Council, I thank all of our community who certainly, we've had a lot of trials and tribulations through 2020 with the pandemic. I think the fears and apprehensions have certainly emanated in the way that the people have been respectful for each other. It has highlighted the humanity and the weakness of humanity as well, in how we certainly have been fearful for our friends and other other members of the community. But throughout that intrepid year and fear and so forth, I believe that with that respect, we've also brought a lot of strength and resilience to our Bundaberg community. And that strength and resilience really has brought a lot of joy and happiness and a lot of hope for the year ahead for 2021. So I just say to everybody to have a good, safe Christmas, to remember, that certainly to think about those that are less fortunate than us. Christmas is about love and peace and the giving. And I know we've got a great caring community here across the Bundaberg region. I ask everyone in the holiday season to remain safe, because especially in their journeys as they travel and plan it out and take their time. And certainly as we return to 2021 with that, hope and hopefully positivity right across the nation with vaccine results and so forth, that 21, whilst we've had the shock and awe of the pandemic, and there's certainly changes that will remain, that we have that normality or some form of normality come back to our communities. But Bundaberg, I just want to say on behalf of the council team here, a big thank you to all of the staff across the region who've done a tremendous job and continue to do that. And I know we're going into the wild weather season as well, where people will donate and give a lot of time to make this community even safer. But I just want to say thank you to the whole of the community and wish everybody a safe Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you everybody, and thanks for your attendance here today. That now concludes our meeting at, what time you got, Bill? 11:38, and I thank you for your attendance. All the best. Merry Christmas everyone.